When the fire appears to them from a distant place, they hear its furious breathing and howling. When they are thrown into it, they will hear its deep sound and its terrible, violent breathing. It is raging.
According to some interpreters, the word zephyr in the first verse means to breathe out the air, and the word shahik in the second verse means to breathe in. Zephyr means to breathe in for a long time and then breathe out. Abu Yahya el-Khattat says that Mujahideen and Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu said, "A person runs to hell and a terrible sound spreads to the desert of hell. Then it takes a deep breath and lets it out into the desert. And there is no one who is not afraid at that time." Ka'b radiyallahu anhu said, "All created beings hear the long exhalation of hell in the morning and evening, except humans and jinn, who will be tested." Dahak said, "Hell breathes so long in the day of judgment that the knees of all the angels and prophets tremble from fear. And they prostrate themselves and say, 'My Lord, my nafs, my nafs, my nafs.'"
When they are thrown into it, they will hear its boiling and terrific roar.
The word shahik in the verse refers to the ugly sound emanating from hell. Rabi bin Anas said that the word shahik is the sound coming from the chest. We know that there are two kinds of sounds coming from the chest: the sound of the heartbeat when the pulse beats, and the sound of breathing. The Holy Quran has brought to our attention that hell is a living creature by stating that the sound of its breathing and its heartbeat can be heard.
They do not even hear hell's breath, hasiyah sound.
This verse also mentions the breathing and different sounds of hell, and these are the result of its different movements.
Beware of the day we will ask hell, "Are you full yet?" And it will respond, "Are there any more?"
On the day of judgment, Allah will ask to hell, "Are you full of them?" And hell will reply, "Are there more of them? I want them again. Throw them again." In a hadith narrated by Imam Ahmad, Ibn Lahiya reported through Khalid bin Abu Imran through Qasim that Hazrat Aisha said that the Prophet said, "On the day of resurrection, a head will emerge from hell and look at people with hatred and wrath and say, 3 kinds of people have been given to my charge: those who worship other gods besides Allah the Almighty, and those who do not believe in the day of resurrection, and all tyrant rulers. Hell turns on them with hatred and throws them into the pains of hell." Ibn Abu Dunya narrated through Shabi that Abu Huraira said, "Hell will be brought on the day of judgment tied to 70,000 bridles, each bridle held by 70,000 angels, and it will incline towards them, until it is brought to the right side of the throne and stopped. Allah confronts him with the humiliation of that day and says to hell, "What humiliation is this?" Hell will reply, "O Lord, I am afraid of being ungrateful to you." Allah says to hell, "I have created you for revenge, and I have no wrath against you." Upon receiving this revelation, hell takes a breath and sighs so loudly that tears flow from every eye, and there are none left. Then he takes another sigh, and there is not an angel or prophet who does not fall into unconsciousness. But our prophet said, "O Lord, my Ummah, my Ummah, my Ummah." Zephyr and Shahiq are not usual breathing. It is an agonized, painful breathing. Zephyr is the sound of a grieving person's breath coming from within. It is similar to the moaning of a sad and wounded person who is troubled and distressed and expressed through sighing and chest tightening. Shahiq is the sobbing when crying as a result of too much pain. Rabi B. Anas said, "Zephyr comes out of the throat, and Shahiq comes out of the chest." This is sighing and chest beating like O, Ah, Eh, where O comes out of the chest, Ah from the heart, and Eh from the throat, which are the sounds of the heart and the breath. Hell cries with all its heart and reveals its smoldering, troubled state. The living hell is the fire that breathes, speaks, sees, hears, and pulses, as if its heart is beating and humming at the same time. Shahiq means blubbering, weeping, sobbing, wailing, growling, and roaring. Hell is doing these. But is hell weeping because it fears its Lord, or because of the condition of those who will be thrown there and suffer terrible torments? Or is it weeping for its own condition because it will watch the horrible conditions of the people who will suffer horrible torments? He wails and cries for various reasons known to him. If it weeps for us, why don't we weep for ourselves? In fact, Abdullah B. Amr B. Alas, radillahu anha, said, "Even the moon cries for fear of Allah." Tawus, radillahu anha, said, "The moon cries for fear of Allah, even though it has no sin and will not be questioned about anything. Even the moon cries like hell for fear of Allah. So what do we do?" Could such great states of living hell exist in our earthly sun? If these states did exist on the sun, then such great similarities undeniably confirm that hell is a sun. Don't you think so? In 1962, a group of scientists discovered that the sun flickered backwards and forwards at intervals of about 5 minutes. Further research showed that some parts of the sun's surface were moving closer to us, while others were moving away from us. In 1970, astrophysicists provided theoretical evidence that these flickers were caused by sound waves inside the sun. In 1975, it was confirmed by observation. Millions of different sounds have been detected in the Sun, each vibrating at different frequencies. It means that there are at least 2 sound generators in the Sun, so that each one of them produces its own special diapasoned sound. And the Sun is like a gigantic musical instrument. Sometimes the Sun sounds like a gong. Sometimes like a drum, sometimes like a bell. A cymbal. And sometimes like a keyboard. According to calculations, the length of the notes of the solar sounds is approximately 1 hour. The torsions in the convection zone force the Sun to sound like a bell. If we compare the Sun to a grand piano, it has 88 metal bars which sound in different tones. The number of notes in the Sun is 10 million. So the Sun, like a piano with 10 million bars, makes different sounds every 5 minutes, or at different time intervals. These sounds form the acoustic structure of the Sun in a harmony like a heartbeat. In 1974 through 1975, Crimean Astrophysical Observatory staff recorded a discovery. It was as if the solar bubble was breathing, that is, the bubble of the Sun, without changing the temperature of its surface layer, made pulse-like or heartbeat-like vibrations around its radius with an amplitude of 10 kilometers and a duration of 160 minutes. These pulsations made it seem as if the Sun was breathing and beating like a heartbeat. The largest of the solar tremors is the result of vibrational fluctuations up and down the vast expanses of the Sun's surface by about 10 kilometers, and harmonic heartbeats or breathing movements with a cycle of exactly 160 minutes. These rhythmic heartbeats or breathing movements occur continuously on the Sun, even after months and years. The heartbeat of the Sun is very slow compared to the beating of the human heart. A human being has 60 to 100 heartbeats in 1 minute, which is 86,400 to 144,000 heartbeats in 1 day. The Sun beats 9 times in a day, and these heartbeats are repeated 9 times every day. This means that the Sun has regular, constant, and healthy heartbeats, and the 9 rhythmic beats repeated every day in 160-minute cycles are considered to be the heartbeats of the Sun or its breath. Some of the sounds emanating from the Sun are very similar to the beating of the heart. The Sun beats just like a heart. Apart from the Sun, other stars in space also make sounds similar to heartbeats. This is the sound of the heartbeat of the pulsar star. Black holes that were once stars can also be heard pulsating like a heartbeat. Astronomers have proved through research that the stars in space are like this sun. Their lives are almost identical with slight differences. But the periods, pulsations, and sounds of the stars are similar. The star Z Hydrae, whose radius is 10 times larger than this sun, whose radiation is 58 times greater than the brightness of the sun, and which is 130 light-years away from the Earth, has attracted the attention of an international group of astronomers who call it like a very large sub-ultra bass musical instrument. The vibrations on its surface are very slow compared to those on the Sun. They occur at an estimated period of 3 hours and at a speed of 2 meters per second. From the star Z Hydrae, sounds like the bass of a sudden gust of wind have been recorded. These sounds indicate its pulsations when it is boiling, as if its heart is beating and breathing. This is how Abdulbaki Gölpınarlı translate the 7th verse of Surah al-Mulk.
When they are thrown into it, they will hear that hell is breathing intermittently and boiling.
This verse talks about hell breathing intermittently. In 1975, it was discovered that the sun, which vibrates like a pulse or like a heartbeat in cycles of 160 minutes, breathes 9 times in one day at intervals, just like hell.
They do not even hear hell's breath, hasisesa sound.
Said Qutb, in his Fi Zilal il-Quran, says the following about the verse. The word hasiseha in the verse is one of the words that describes its meaning with a musical emphasis. This word conveys the sound of the fire as it burns with its emphasis. It portrays the frightening sound, undoubtedly. It is a sound that sends shivers down one's spine. That is why those who had previously been granted goodness were spared the sound of the fire as it burned, and the great panic that terrified the polytheists, let alone actually tasting it. Kenneth R. Lang, astrophysicist and radio astronomer, said, "The sun is performing its own secret melody, its own strange symphony. And the result of this melody is the oscillatory movement of the sun's surface, like a wide pulsation. The sun looks like a very big musical instrument that vibrates slowly, harmoniously, and like a big string. Or it beats like a gigantic heart, breathing like a gigantic body. According to new studies, magnetic solar heartbeats come from the deep interior of the sun and create the energy for sunspots and flames. In other words, what gives the sun life energy, nourishes it, and makes it a source of life for the creatures of the world is its heartbeat or breathing. which are the two most important elements that keep a being alive. The sun is a living being that keeps the creatures of the world alive with its warm breath. The sun of hell is a place so alive that it will even keep alive the people who will inhabit it eternally.
As for those who disbelieved in the truth, for them awaits the fire of hell. They will not be killed, nor will the torment of it be alleviated. This is how we punish those who are ungrateful.
Allah has created in hell all the meanings of the words Zephyr and Shahik, or all their movements and sounds. In fact, just as hell makes the sounds of Zephyr and Shahik, so will the people of hell make these sounds in the fire when they are being tormented. We have listened to the sounds of hell, which is alive, with breathing and heartbeats and movement in the sun. So hell is a sun.
When they are thrown into it, they will hear that hell is breathing intermittently and boiling.